Hey guys, welcome back to Exotic Car Hacks, and today we are talking about the bad boys car, the 575M Ferrari. Now, you may have seen that I've been collecting, obviously, as you can see here, more older 90s and 2000s favorites from my own childhood, and one of the cars that has always been on top of my list has been the 550 575. So if you followed the channel, you know back when I bought my first gated 550, I paid 140, I sold it for 197. I made a healthy $50,000 profit in less than a week owning a 550, which was not much of an ownership period, but let alone ever since, I've kind of regretted selling the car, not just because they're now selling for 100K even above that, but rather regretted it because it had something very special. It was a 550 with racing carbon seats, something very hard to find in these cars. And it was red on tan, which is my favorite color for an old Ferrari, like most people is. However, for some reason, I could never get it out of my head, and I've always wanted a 575. Now, the first thing you're gonna ask me is this a gated manual? And the answer is no. Unfortunately, I didn't think the gated manual was worth all the money in this particular configuration, which is why I try to find what I consider to be the underdog in perfect condition. So this is my new 2003 575M, and a special shout out to Graham Rahal over in Indiana, who has provided us with yet another stunning example of a car. Highly suggest them if you're looking to buy an exotic. They've been nothing but amazing. Ask for Scott there. They have some of the cleanest cars out there and are very true to their word on just about everything they do. So a big shout out to them for being a very good and awesome dealer in the space. So this is my 575. Of course, it's red on tan. Of course, it has a V12, and it fits very well in this lineup of V12s and specialty 90s and 2000s cars. And it was specifically chosen, even though it was one of the most expensive cars on the market, for two key reasons. It has not only 6,000 miles, which means the condition is preserved very, very well. None of the dash is pulling, the headliner's not falling off, the seats are not damaged, and it's truly a 6,000 mile car. But secondly, it has racing seats, something I've wanted ever since I got rid of my 550. So very hard, if you actually look on AutoTrader or any of these sites, to find a 550 or 575 with racing buckets, and that is why specifically I wanted this car. Now, since this car has come in and it is not meant to be driven, it's good that it'll remain with low miles. It's actually a very cool car to drive. I've had a chance to drive it for just a little bit, and I thought it was a really, really exciting car to drive, even with the E-gear. Specifically, the F1 transmission, I thought would be very sluggish. It was actually very pleasant to take on a quick drive. It had a lot of power, a lot through the revs, and the F1 was fairly smooth for being an older car. Now, we put some period correct HRE wheels on this car because I hate, even though it came with the two-piece forged, like literally now worth like almost $40,000 for the wheels alone, I decided to preserve those wheels and put them on the shelf, and instead put these HRE, these very proper HREs, because the factory suspension can come down. And as you can see, this very, very deep lip and this beautiful wide Pirelli tire means that this car was in a position to basically have a very fat tire on the rear, and the factory stuff would need very large spacers to get that look. So I decided to put this HRE period correct classic wheel on it to give it that very exciting, strong look. The car is lowered on its factory suspension, so it's not there's no suspension modification other than just bringing the factory suspension down, and that is one of the reasons you can see that the car is so tucked in and so perfect. So the interior you'll find absolutely perfect in every way, very hard to find. From the carpets, nothing is coming off, no sticky buttons, nothing. So very hard to find a car in this condition, which is what I really paid for. And of course the carbon bucket, making the experience much better from a drive standpoint. The only issue with this car is I haven't been able to figure out what the code for the radio is. So if one of you knows how to reset the radio code on a Ferrari without having to take the literally radio out, shoot me a message right here in the comments and let me know how I can do that, because otherwise, while I won't really be driving this car, I also will never be listening to music driving it, which might be okay because the car sounds really good being a V12. Now, one of the things that, again, for buying these cars that I want to point out on the channel is this is strictly an investment-based car for me. So it's not really about buying a car that I'm going to enjoy for the years to come. This is really a car that's going to sit here amongst this 90s, 2000s collection. I'm a big believer, just as I teach in Exotic Car Hacks, and by the way, if you don't know what Exotic Car Hacks is, you can click the link in the description. You can like, subscribe, and of course turn on notifications for this channel, but you can also click the link in the description and learn for free what car hacking is, or join the biggest exotic car community on the internet right below, and you might actually enjoy doing that. But one of the things with this car is this is strictly an investment for me. So it was calculated decision purchasing this car because they can still be bought in the mid 100s. Now, the right cars with the seats, etc., are going to be available in the high 100s, but realistically, these cars can, of course, be bought in that range of dollar, which is pretty exciting still for a classic Pinafore design Ferrari. And in my opinion, one of the best looking V12s ever produced. So quality-wise, the car is a 10. Like as a car itself, the car is a good 8 for a V12, and highly recommended because it gets a lot of thumbs up and is very well loved out there, which I think is very rare to find, especially if you're in the like luxury or exotic car space. To find a car of this beauty under 200K these days is very rare, and I think this is one of the best looking cars that has come out of Ferrari in a very long time. My opinion, between this, the 355, they really had some beautiful cars back in the day, and modern Ferrari has really lost its touch compared to this stuff. But nonetheless, this 575 will be here for quite some time. We'll see if I'm right or not. I expect values to be going up into 200s very soon, mid 200s to be exact, all the way to 300K for classic examples like these. We will see if I'm wrong or not here on the channel. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and otherwise I'll catch you next time for Exotic Car Hacks.